And I think that's something that you don't find a lot in people that have left the
Mm.
church, generally because they've had really terrible experiences with whatever. I feel like I've taken so much of the good things that I learned, and I felt like I had this really personal faith that felt like very connected, and it was just like very lovely.
Welcome to episode 6 of season 2 of the Leading Smart Podcast on 40 lessons in 40 years with Tim Stevens. I'm Holly Tate. This episode is so special because Tim interviews his 4 kids. You said 25, right? 25 to 32
That's
years
right.
old?
20. He has 24 to 32.
24 to 32.
Yeah, I think I misspoke last time.
That was awesome. And I mentioned this at the end of the last episode, but when we were kind of planning out what the season would look like, and he was like, man, I would really love to hear the kids' perspective on this, but I don't know if any of them are going to say yes. Why would they want to talk to their dad? And then, of course, he came back to me like 2 weeks later and was like, guess how many of them said yes? And it was every single one of them. And so I've already gotten to watch this one. And Tim, I texted you and Faith and just said, good job, guys, because I'm, only 16 months into being a parent and just can't imagine what it's like, 24 to 32 years later. And then you have the ministry component into that. And to be able to, you guys should just be so proud of these 4 awesome kiddos that are all so different, but what they all have in common is their love for people and empathy. And that's because, and they talk about that in this episode, that you and Faith just really instilled into them by the way that you parented and cared for them. So why did you want to do this? Like, why was this an important episode to bring into this season?
I told you from the beginning with this whole concept around, 40 lessons in 40 years, that I didn't want it to be a legacy play. I didn't want it to be like, oh, look how smart Tim is. Look how much wisdom he is. Like, I really want it to be like I messed up. There's vulnerable times. There's things, you learn along the way. And so it felt like the way to pull that out would be the episode we did with Faith, and then an episode with the kids of just like, and I told them ahead of time prepping, I said, I just want the good, bad, and ugly. Like, what was it like growing up in the spotlight, or when your dad's in the spotlight, and then thus you're in the spotlight in a ministry home? Because so many of the people that are listening and watching this are in that situation. I mean, they're like you. They got young kids at home, or they're thinking about having kids, or they're in the middle of the teenage years, and they're trying to make it work, and it's not easy. And so that was the heart behind it.
And then you told me, you sent me a voice memo like right after you guys hung up on the Zoom, and you said that might have been the best 51 minutes of my life. And I thought that was so sweet. What did you mean? Like, why did you leave the conversation so energized?
Yeah, it just felt sweet. It felt like it was the kids are close with each other and we're close with them, and you get to hang out like everyone together, if all the stars align, maybe twice a year at this phase of life. And so all of those times are really special. And when they actually said yes, because, probably 3.5 of them are introverts,
3.5.
So the sense of like that they would be willing to have a conversation that they know is recorded and that they know will be on the internet, that they know maybe their friends might hear at some point. I was really touched by the fact that they agreed to do it. And then they just were completely engaged. You think through the kids, you're like, oh, I'm probably going to have to pitch a question or two to this one because they're not going to openly talk. But they all like just leaned in and engaged with a lot of banter and fun with each other. And it's just, it was just super special.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait for you guys to see and hear this episode. And also, I can't wait for you guys to see all of the hair that the Stevens kids have, especially in juxtaposition against the lack of hair that Tim Stevens has.
My wife, though, she told you what this yesterday?
She did.
She might have married me for my long flowing locks because I did have a pretty thick haired mullet when we were first dating.
And then 35 years later, she still loves you without those long locks
That is
of hair.
true.
But yeah, I sent Tim and Faith a screenshot and was like, I'm literally giggling watching this with how much hair all of them have and how not much of hair Tim has. All right. Well, check it out. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. Email us, share with us what you, as a parent, what comes to mind as you're watching this. Can't wait to hear from you. So enjoy this episode with the Tim and Faith, the Stevens kids.
Yeah.
There you go.
Kids.
Okay. I think we're recording.
This is Tim Stevens, and I am joined by 4 other Stevens, or former Stevens in one case, who are my kids. So the purpose of this episode or conversation is to talk about the good, bad, and ugly of having a family while you're trying to be a pastor at a church or lead a church. And so I know a lot of people who are watching or listening to this are in that category. And so, real quick history, the kids were all raised for the most part at Granger Community Church, and while I was a pastor there, starting when Heather, how old were you in 94? You were 1, I guess. And Megan was born the month before we started there. And then Hunter and TK came along later. And then we were there all the way till all the 3 older were in college. And TK, you were going into 9th grade?
Yeah.
When we left? Yeah. So, so this will be fun. So I'm just going to go round robin real quickly, just how old you are. I know it's on your screen, but how old you are and where you currently are and kind of what you're doing in life right now. So I'm going to start with you, Heather, because you came first.
I'm Heather. I'm 32. I live in Nashville right now. I'm the director at an autism clinic. I'm married, just got married last February, and I have 2 golden doodles.
And your husband is?
Luke.
Luke. And you're now Mroczynski.
I
which
am.
is
Yep.
hard to spell and hard to say. Yeah. All right, Megan.
I am Meg. I am 30. I live in South Bend currently. My partner and I run a coffee shop together. And yeah. Oh, I have 3
Coffee.
cats.
And you have 3 cats. Coffee, chocolate, macaroons, bakery, all things edible.
Yes.
Very cool. Hunter.
I am Hunter. I am 28, I think. I also live in South Bend. I am an engineer at AM General, and my partner, Kit, also lives here and is an aerialist, has the cooler job of the 2 of us. We also have 3 cats.
I didn't know what an aerialist was before I met Kit, but this is someone who hangs from ribbons and hoops high in the air.
Cirque du Soleil, but not with Cirque du Soleil.
And teaches others to do the same. And fun fact, you guys got married in October?
True.
In October. So doing a ceremony here in a couple months. TK.
I'm TK. I'm 24. I work at United Airlines as a crew scheduler. I'm trying to not do that anymore.
So if anyone wants to give you a job,
If anyone wants to give me a job,
send you an email.
Yeah. I live in suburbs of Chicago in that one's basement currently, trying to get on my feet.
It looks more like a dungeon than a basement, but
It does.
that's the best we could offer you.
Oh, and I have 2 cats.
So if you're counting, that's 2, 6. That's 8 cats and 2 dogs. 8 grandcats and 2 granddogs. All right, cool. Yeah, love it. 2 of them which live in my basement with TK.
And 2 different ones you're not allergic to.
That's true. I'm not allergic to the dogs, which is great. So let's jump in. Purpose of this is just to talk through like what it was like to grow up in a pastor's house, a ministry house. And I know my role I wasn't on the platform every week, so it may not have had the same kind of spotlight that other positions did, but it still was probably unique. So over the course of, the next little bit, we're going to talk about the good, bad, and ugly of that, because I want to help other people that are in younger phases of life right now that are in similar situations leading in churches. But so we'll just start. Anyone have just like a fun memory, ridiculous memory, something that was like, that just stands out from you when you think about growing up in church life, kind of in the spotlight?
I'll go first. I think some of my favorite memories are the staff parties that we threw in our backyard, and when we made Pastor Mark drink the dirt that we told him was Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper or chocolate
milk. It took
milk.
me until I was like 18 years old to realize that he knew the whole time that it wasn't Dr. Pepper. But then I also remember, like, I have such a clear memory of this, sitting in the hallway at GCC, and this kid who was about my age, I don't know how old I was, 12 maybe, said, "Hey, I really like you and I want to ask you out, but your dad's a pastor, so I'm afraid." A lot of my life and who I am is because people were afraid to tell me things or say things to me or around me because of you. So if you ever wonder why I'm so naive,
Did you miss out on opportunities or did you feel protected?
I
Or
miss
both?
out on opportunities.
That's fair. Like the 12-year-old kid named Carl.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember his name.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna listen to this and be so offended.
That's okay. Any other memories?
One of my core ones was like after kids' classroom, whatever, kids' church was over and the parents are coming in, like we were always the last kids picked up. Um, and so running through, chasing each other, just like being crazy. But one specific one where Heather and I were like, I think she was chasing me and I dove under a table and she tried to follow me and got a black eye,
Well,
hit the table.
I remember the pictures of that.
And family pictures were like shortly after, like the
Yeah.
next week or
Mom was
something.
really excited about that
Yeah.
one.
That's awesome. That just reminded me when we built the first children's space in that nursery that was where kind of offices exist now. And I was like in charge of the construction, and we had not had the contractors put up the little boundaries on the nursing or the baby changing table yet. And Heather was the first baby to be changed on that table, and also the first one to roll off. And like I don't remember if it was your eye or your cheek or whatever, but you couldn't have been more than one. And or maybe no, you remember probably 2 years old and but we're bruised. And then the children's staff came out and were like so freaked out. They just thought I would kill them because they injured my baby.
Wow.
But it's like, well, we learned.
You guys all like remember when TK shot me in the eye with a Nerf gun? You guys have all just been out for my eyes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Do you think
You
she's
still
gotten the
have
hint
two.
yet?
I don't know.
Do you think she's gotten the hint yet?
All right. So what would be you guys like a lot of Sundays and some we went on Saturdays too, but you were there for like multiple services and like, from the time we got there till the time we went home after the second or third service. And did you have any like survival tips or whatever things you did of just to survive kind of being in that environment for that long when other kids were just coming and going? Anything that comes to mind?
I mean, I liked it. I didn't feel like I was surviving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
So like it wasn't like I mean, we went to the 5:30 service and then I usually stayed after to volunteer at the 7:30 service, but I didn't feel like we were having to stay at like all the services or come especially earlier late. Let's stay late.
How young were you guys when you started volunteering?
I have pictures of me volunteering in the 3-year-old room in probably like 6th or 7th grade.
Yeah.
I think
it
Out
would have been.
Loud was first for me, and I
Yeah.
think that started in 5th grade,
What I
Yeah, I
was gonna
think
say.
they started at 4th grade.
4th grade. That's right.
And Out Loud was a kids singing
Worship
group
team.
that sang for
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
younger kids
Sang and danced.
Mm-hmm.
and danced,
Mhm.
choreographed dancing.
It was
Mostly
great.
jumping.
Yeah.
How
And
much
clapping.
jumping?
Any memories of getting in trouble at church and then thinking you were going to get more in trouble at home?
I feel like I could do whatever at church because
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
Wow.
think I abused that very much, but it was like, I could go like backstage and I could like go down into the green room for the bands because mom was on band most of the time and like, yeah.
We
I
kind of
think-
just
I knew.
went wherever and did whatever we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that too. We were all
Tell-
good kids. Like we didn't do
Yeah.
anything bad. So, okay, I was a good kid. I didn't do anything bad.
the firstborn is usually the best, right?
Yeah.
Tell them about the video you guys recorded with Kim Volheim. I don't remember. I think it was related to like what happened if we didn't have any children's workers. Was that it?
I don't know. We were like 3 years old.
Yeah, it was like we were trying to like attract new volunteers. And it was like, well, what would happen if this church had no like the kids would just run amok. And so he had you guys like do terrorizing
amok.
things throughout the church building.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
run amok.
really want you to find that video because I want to see it again. If you could find it and
I'll
show
see
it.
what I can find because I remember you guys like pulling like rolls of toilet paper, just like strewn,
Yeah.
strewn through
And
the
That does
pouring
hallways.
sound
coffee on like
familiar.
a map or something on someone's desk. And
Yeah.
we were just, I think, running around, and then there were two adults' voices that were like pretending to be us.
Oh, what if I
We'll have to
just
find that
spilled
video.
this coffee all over this?
That's great. Okay, now I want to ask, like, I'm going to ask the good side first, but just so you know, I'm getting to the hard side. So, but we'll hit both sides. But like on the good side, what is something that you reflect on and look back and feel thankful about growing up in, a pastor's or a ministry home, or times when you like as you are today, like it really served you well, looking back on that?
This is specifically about like pastoral ministry, but specifically with you guys as our parents, I think the way that which I think this is not normal for pastors, which is why I'm saying that. You allowed us to make choices for ourselves. Like you didn't like micromanage anything. It was like you can choose, and if you choose wrong, there will be consequences, and usually that's a drawback of your freedom of some sort. But like we were able to think for ourselves and like make our own choices when we were young. So like when I went to college, I had a lot of friends that like called their parents every single day because they didn't know what class to take, or like this happened, or like they like needed their support for like every little thing. They weren't able to like stand on their own 2 feet. And I felt like we were set up really well in that way so that when we were launched off, we were able to fly.
Good bird
And
analogy there.
alternately, I had friends that were like had a ton of rules, were very corralled, and any chance they got, they pushed away at those. They were like, when their parents aren't around, I can do whatever I want as long as my parents don't find out. Or you get to college and they just like
Go crazy.
go crazy, or as crazy as you can at a Christian school. I mean, I'm sure I didn't like them when I was like little, but I didn't feel too much like the rules were unfair, even if they were maybe less than some of my friends had. I never felt like they didn't have any reason behind them. At least from my 28-year-old perspective.
Yeah.
This is less serious, but I learned how to talk to adults. We were around adults a lot, and people always knew who I was, and I didn't know who they were, and I got really good at pretending to know who people were, and I use that skill today, and I am very thankful for it.
That's good. Yeah, that's so helpful. I use that today too. I used to have to be that for Pastor Mark because we'd often be together and everyone knew who he was. And, he was so personable. He would pretend like, he'd be just friendly. And so I would always play dumb and say, "Oh, I've never met you. What's your name?" And that's how he would learn their name, is because I'd be playing dumb. So yeah, it's a skill.
Yeah.
I was going to say something similar with just growing up around so many adults. I mean, always being with the band in the green room or with the volunteers, or even before I was able to, I think I got probably the most of that because even I would hang out, when y'all were volunteering and I wasn't able to, I was still there. And yeah, so I just, especially now in my 20s, I see a lot of my friends and people I know who don't know how to be an adult. And not that any of us do, but I think I have a leg up on them because I've had adults as friends basically my whole life.
Yeah. That's good. And you guys have commented on the fact that we actually never hung out with people our age. We always ended up hanging out with people that were like 20 years younger than us. So they were kind of halfway between your age and our age, probably.
Well, for a time they were your age, but then they stayed that age, and it's like
That's true.
Kept going.
Leonardo DiCaprio, like that
Oh,
kind of
God.
thing. He gets cut off
Wow.
at age 25.
Fair. That's actually pretty fair.
Not the comparison you want, but
It's fine. It works. It works. It keeps me young, or that's what I tell myself.
yeah.
All right. So what was hard about growing up in a, just in the spotlight, in a church home, church staff, and, where everyone knows you, even though, like you had said, Heather, you don't know them, but everyone knows you. What comes to mind that was hard about that?
I don't know if it was hard at the time, but looking back, I was definitely a little know-it-all. I still am a little bit, but
No,
like
what?
I have I would argue with people online and like debate religion on like anonymous texting apps or whatever. And I remember specifically two of the neighbor kids. I wrote out a quiz on Christianity and gave it to them, like trying to make them fail.
Oh,
How old
that's
were
so
you?
embarrassing.
I mean, like probably 10 or something.
Uh-huh.
Like,
I mean, Hunter, technically,
right.
Technically.
His
Like, I
favorite
think
phrase
that
as a
was kind of
10-year-old.
my personality, but like growing up, like with parents who worked in the church, it was especially so. I thought that I knew everything about religion and all that.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's not that at all, but the first couple words were true for me too. It wasn't hard at the time, but it is probably a lifetime struggle for me. Um, being the oldest and also being pastor's kid, feeling like I had to get it right, get everything right. And I remember hearing when I was, I don't remember how old I was, but I remember hearing that pastor's kids are either like the devil or the angel. And I really wanted to be the angel. So I think I've kind of
How's she doing, the rest of you?
carried that
Better
with
than
me
me.
my whole life, that desire to be good and right and do the right thing forever.
Yeah. That probably is, you're right, Heather, because that is a firstborn trait, but also probably, emphasized because growing up in the church.
I think I got that too for the opposite reason, being the youngest and just like feeling like I had so much legacy to live up to. Because not only did I have my dad's a pastor, my mom sings in the worship team, but also all of my siblings were volunteers. They were camp counselors, and everyone adored them, and everyone would tell me how great my siblings were, and like, Hunter did this, Meg did this, Heather did this, and I was like, I have to do all those things now in order to live up to what came before me. Because I remember when we moved to Texas, and all of a sudden, no one knew who any of us were, and it was like I was just a person. It was terrifying and freeing to be able to be like, I can just like be me. No one knows my siblings. No one knows what's come before. They're just going to make all their opinions based on me.
What was that shift like for you then? Like from
It was,
8th to 9th grade?
yeah, I mean, I remember being that ninth grade was awful. It was terrifying. And part of that was because you know, the good side of all that is everyone always assumed that I was going to be great, just like my siblings to start with. So like I was always, yeah, a I got a bit of a leg up, and then I just felt like I had to maintain that. So I didn't have that leg up anymore. Um, but again, it was ultimately freeing to be able to. That's when I discovered like loving theater and things because no one else in my family had done theater, and I hadn't really considered it until that point. Um, yeah.
Yeah. You had a blank slate, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you, Meg?
I think the hardest thing for me was youth group years. Um, and part of like growing up in the church and whatever being like I was felt like I had more friends in the staff of the youth group than I had friends that were in my age.
Yeah.
And through the course of the years that I don't remember how it overlapped with all of us, but there was what, three youth group leaders? Are there three? Judy, Corey,
PC, Johnny.
Johnny, four. And like all the there was like just an absurd amount of turnover. Like I think six people got either fired or left during the time that I was there. And knowing that my dad made those decisions or was a part of making those decisions was really difficult. Because like I felt like all of my friends had left and so like that connection made it like definitely caused some tension, I think.
Did you feel that from your like friends, like who weren't on staff but knew that I was probably involved in some of those decisions? And did you feel pressure from your friends?
I don't know that I felt it from them as much as I assumed that it was there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, of course, no one's gonna say that,
Hmm.
or, but like, but I just, I felt it anyway.
Yeah.
I think a thing that was probably frustrating to some extent, but helpful to some extent, was that you rarely gave us any information on what went on behind the scenes.
Mhm.
So we like couldn't even hide anything from other kids in youth group when someone got fired because we didn't know anything. But then it was like frustrating to not know the
That was so
details behind.
frustrating. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
agreed.
we wanted to know, but it kind of absolved us of any of that connection to it.
I don't
when
even
you were
think
older.
until this moment, thought about the fact that you were involved in those decisions.
Oh, shoot. A new reason to be bitter.
Ugh.
Granted, I wasn't as close with them because I didn't go
Mhm.
through the entire youth group, but yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
remember.
yeah, I mean, uh, of things you might be talking about, the hardest was, when you guys lost a youth pastor when Heather, I think you were barely in college and Megan was in high school still. And,
Mhm.
I
and
remember
it was
you calling me.
yeah, it was a devastating disappointment to all of us. And there was so many facts, in that I wanted to scream to the world, because it would have helped make more sense, but also not probably. So I totally respect that the pressure that put on you guys.
Hmm.
Was there ever seasons that you felt like we put church above family, or ministry job above family? And what was that like, and what could we have done differently?
I don't remember ever feeling that way, but I do know I think you thought I felt that way, Dad, because remember I made all those suitcases for you, and you
Oh my God.
anytime you traveled, and I think maybe I don't know, did I like not make one time because I was like, oh, okay, bye, or maybe I didn't say bye because you just always left, so I knew like I'd gotten used to it, and that's when you stopped traveling.
I don't remember the specific that detail. I do remember the suitcases. You made these little cardboard
That was so
and
cute.
stapled and glued
I
suitcase
feel like
things
you've
for
written
me.
in a book or said it in a podcast or something that you after I did that or didn't do whatever I did or didn't do, you stopped traveling because I stopped caring.
I don't recall that, but it's probably out there. I probably said it somewhere. I probably wrote it
Hmm.
down. Um, I do remember there was a season which I like every time I went on a trip, I would get every single one of you a gift when I came back.
Oh yeah.
And then I remember like I felt like you guys were looking forward to me leaving because you got a gift. And so it's like I feel like this is backfiring. Maybe I should stop buying gifts.
I'm
Yeah.
still bitter that you guys like went to Europe for a month, like, just now and didn't
Just
get us
now,
anything.
not a single thing.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah, what the heck?
I literally, they
we
come back, I'm sitting on the couch, hands open, eyes closed, waiting for the gift, and there's nothing. What do you think it is?
It's a single
we
euro.
that's right. I do have some here I've been trying to get rid of that
Oh, perfect.
so
Ooh,
I guess who's in my house? I guess TK, you get 40 euros.
Damn.
it's in my house.
Yeah. Anything else that comes to mind under that, of just where you felt like we put intentionally, or I mean, probably not intentionally, probably unintentionally, but put where you felt like church or job was above family?
You might have done too good of a job.
I was hoping for more dirt.
I
Yeah.
know. You're
I
not
don't
asking
remember
very good
feeling
questions for
that.
that, I guess.
I guess not.
I think a good thing that this isn't directly church related, but a good thing that you guys did that I don't see parents around me now doing or making an effort to do is you and mom's like annual vacation where you would take a week or two and like not take us and just go to Mexico or something and take a week to not have kids. And I think there are parents around me that could use that and kids that could probably use it.
You guys were very clear that we were not the most important thing to you.
Yeah.
Mom was, and you were to her. And I think that I feel like I don't know, I feel like that could be a little controversial, which I think is dumb because how are you going to survive after we leave if you're not the most important thing? But I remember asking my ex that, like, if we ever had kids, who would be the most important to you, like the kid or me? And he said the kid. And I was like, no, wrong answer. I'm not having kids with you if that's your answer. I was like, do you think you're the most important thing to your parents? And he said, well, yeah. And I mean, now it makes sense, like, but
Yes.
I just remember that conversation. And
I remember you specifically, Heather, being a little miffed by that answer too. Like, what?
by his answer?
No, by when you're like 4 or 5.
Oh, yeah.
When we're telling you that.
You told us that all the time.
All the time.
It's not like it was just an action. It was like you told us, your mom, I love your mom more than I love you.
Yeah.
Basically.
No, you literally said that.
It was the annual vacation. I think y'all had like a monthly date night too. It was very.
We tried to, yeah.
Very clear that was, yeah.
Those are so fun too.
I
loved a date night.
Because you got to goof off with the babysitter?
Yeah.
Me and Megan would stay up late and like play the car game. Do you remember that?
Or
we would like take turns looking out the window to see if you guys were coming home and then pretend
just to watch for the car.
Yeah, it was so fun.
It's
a pretty
one time
difficult game.
Yeah.
Megan Hunter locked me in a bathroom, my hands duct taped behind my back.
Good times. Yeah, we
therapy.
Never.
What?
And then I came out like an hour later and I was like, I got free. And they were like, oh, we forgot about you. They were just like on the computer.
I think I made Megan touch an iron once or a grill or something that was on. Yeah. And I, until this moment.
Hot? Well, I don't know. Feel it.
Yeah. Till this moment, I've felt really bad about that. But now that you guys did to TK,
it carried down.
Yeah, I no longer feel bad. You deserved it.
Good old trickle down bullying.
All right. How did, so growing up church, growing up in a Christian home, like I know a couple of you are pretty plugged in to your church and a couple of you aren't. How did it form your faith or your thoughts about God, negatively or positively? Like it can be either way. When you think about kind of like, and I know there's more than just, I mean, college contributes to that and adult life contributes to that. But when you're thinking back to your formative years, good or bad, like how did that form your faith or thoughts about spirituality?
I think for me, it gave me a really good foundation. Some like hard things now. I'm one of those that are plugged into my church right now. Some hard things are like I'm going through the Bible right now with my small group, and I have heard all the stories a million times. Like I know everything, like I know it all, which obviously isn't true, but as I'm reading it, it's hard not to. I'll like picture scenes from VeggieTales as I'm reading like the Book of Esther or something because I've seen that so many times, and it's hard. Sometimes I wish I had like the eyes of a new believer as an adult instead of like, and I'm glad that I learned as a kid, but I wonder what it'd be like to learn as an adult and like actually appreciate it for the first time at, 30 instead of 3. So that's not something that I can ever change, obviously, but I do really appreciate the foundation and yeah, it's
good. Any other thoughts on that?
As one of the not plugged into church, and like post-college, just going through a few different things and deciding that Christianity wasn't for me. I do think that it's interesting to see, like, to know people who are still very involved in the church and also have friends who are like adamantly anti-religion and like Christianity specifically is a blight on the world. And to see both of those and to be kind of in the middle. Like I am not a part of Christianity. I was for 20 something years. And I still think it has benefits, and know like you guys and like seeing Parker, like I see these really good examples of Christianity and the good that it can do when it's like pointed in the right direction, which is like loving people. And then I also see people who use it to hurt people because they twist things into thinking that they're the chosen people and other people are going to hell. I feel like it helped round out that view so that I can see that it can be a thing that can be harnessed for evil, but it could also be a thing to help people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, as we talked in the past, like it gives maybe a tolerance for both groups
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, because you have people that are completely irreligious that have never grown up in church and maybe have a very negative view of Christianity, but are super loving and super accepting and super welcoming of people that are under resourced or undeserved or, just under viewed by society. Yeah. Meg or TK, thoughts?
I feel very tenderly towards my like especially early Christianity. Um, and I think like that's something that you don't find a lot in people that have left the church. Um, generally because they've had really terrible experiences with whatever. Um, but I feel like I've taken so much of the good things that I learned, and I felt like I had this really personal faith that felt like very connected, and it was just like very lovely. And I feel like I've taken those things and those parts of it that were really good and brought them with me into this next stage of my growth as a person, and I still feel all those things. Like I still believe in the sacrifice and in the love and humility, like all of those core things that I learned in Christianity. I still believe it just looks different. But yeah, I think like my college experience of Christianity was very different, but my early years I feel very tenderly towards.
Yeah.
I think the biggest, like if I could narrow it down to a single like nugget, the like biggest, both the double-edged sword benefit and drawback was I was forced to think more, and just like because like by the time we hit third grade, like Heather said, I knew all the Bible stories. Had heard them all a million times. I had seen every Veggie Tales. I knew every worship song. And so and then especially, I think also tying in being around so many adults also contributed to this. But just like was forced very early on to start questioning things. And that y'all welcomed that questioning was a big part of this too. But I just like I don't think I have very many beliefs still that have not been thought through to oblivion, and that was very, especially in college, that was very beneficial just to have friends who were going through things and who, because they had never been able to question things, they'd never been able to go through that, struggled a lot more with that, with finding what they believed, with figuring out who they wanted to be. I also, kind of on the opposite side of that, often intellectualize my faith way too much, and will. It's so difficult for me to just like sit in a church service and take what's going on, because the pastor mentions a phrase in Greek and I'm like, oh, well, that's actually not what the translation is because it's this or this. Or they mention this Bible study. I'm like, well, if you look at the context, actually, that's that thing. Or whatever. Like I know a little bit too much to be able to actually like experience those things. Like Heather said, like it's hard to be able to experience things with fresh eyes ever. Yeah.
Yeah, it can make you jaded,
Mhm.
potentially. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to fight that cynicism often.
Yeah. Well, the thing that you guys know that has mattered most to me is because I feel like the core of Christianity is loving people well, mainly because that's what the Bible says. Primarily my source. And so I see all of you doing that in your arenas, in your worlds. And that's what makes it just fun to still be a family and have conversation. And last question, who'd you vote for? What do you think about immigration? Just kidding. We're not going there. We're not going to talk about the big, beautiful bill. We're just not going to talk about it. Thank you guys for taking this time. I'm going to hit stop here and we'll be finished. Thanks everyone that's watching this and listening to this. And I'm hoping this is helpful. There are no perfect parents and there's no perfect way to raise kids in ministry. And it's interesting. I heard someone similar to like TK and Heather's like age gap who said, we had the same parents. And it's like, no, we didn't. Like, when like a firstborn, they've never been parents in their lives. And by the time 8 years later comes, they're just completely different parents and everything in between. So
TK got a boy-girl birthday party at like age 9. So
ooh.
Yeah.
That's why I am the way that I am.
True.
Explains so much. Explains so much. All right. I'm going to hit stop here. And thanks you guys for doing this.
Well, hope you enjoyed that interview with Tim and the Stevens kids. Wanted to point out the lesson in our ebook, 40 Lessons in 40 Years, that Tim has learned about family. And that is, your family is not your ministry. Your first calling is your family. Don't sacrifice them on the altar of church growth. Go home before the work is done. And what's neat about this is in the interview, the kids all talked about, especially Heather, which I thought was interesting, as the oldest, where they all have distinct memories of you telling them that their mom, Faith, your wife, is more important to you than them, or that you love her more than them. They all pointed that out.
I guess I must have said it a lot.
Yeah.
You guys don't matter. Your mom matters. I don't know how it came across, but they got it.
Well, and that's right, because they got that, like, your family is not your ministry, And I just want to say, like, from an outsider's perspective, it just really seems like you guys did a really great job of that, of them growing up to really know that even though faith was your first priority, that they know that they were they know that they were your priority as well. And that you had really good boundaries there. So, which it's
never, I mean, any of you that are in ministry know, like, there's always something that needs done that can pull you away. And it has to be, like, I remember, and I didn't always do this perfectly. By far, I probably did it poorly more often than well. And that is like intentional, we called it guy time, and date time with the girls and guide time with the boys individually once a month. And like just calendar, I had to systemize and calendar it, or else it never would happen.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. All right. Well, before we close out, reminder to check out our gatherings, our 2026 gatherings. You can go to leadingsmart.com, click on gatherings, where you can check it out and sign up for our 2 executive pastor gatherings and then our senior pastor gathering as well. And then in our next episode, we're going to talk all about systems. So I'm going to go get some coffee and prepare for that episode while Tim wants to go run a marathon because he's so excited to talk about systems. So we'll see you there.